Hello people, today we're talking about my first year fashion design experience at the Parsons School of Design. I got some secrets, I got some tips to how to not get depressed while you're studying, and just overall my experience of the school. If you're new here, my name is Jeff, and on my channel I document a lot of my creative process as I am becoming a fashion designer. So if that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing and sticking around watching this stuff. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump into the first year review. I thought I'd start off with the elephant in the room because a lot of people don't know what it's like to be in university, much less art school. I got waitlisted into the fashion design program, and then eventually I got off the waitlist, and that's how I'm studying at school. So I was expecting school to be a lot more difficult, and surprisingly, things were really easy. Or not really easy. Art school is as hard as you make it to be, so if you work hard on your projects and you hammer your stuff out and you give your projects time to grow, you'll do well. I'm not saying I'm exceptional. You know, I finished with A's in every class except for one. I got an A-. I really don't know what other people got, but I can say for myself it was a lot more easier than I expected. Also, art school and university for that matter is not about the grades, and sometimes you get caught up in trying to perfect your grade, but really it's about trying to develop your craft as much as possible and learn as much as you can. So that's what I was really going out to do this semester, and that's why I was experimenting a lot with a bunch of different materials and different ways of doing things, which I think was one of the most successful things of the year. So your first semester, your classes are all given to you. You can't really choose. Second semester, you get to pick one elective, but I chose two because I'm special. You could take more electives than they say you could, because you could fill up those credits without adding to your tuition. So if you think you can take that task, then definitely go for it. But you can't fast track your education, because some schools you could like do a program in 2.5 years, but not at Parsons. They made it so you have to take a prerequisite and then go to the next class, which kind of sucks because you'd save a lot of tuition. So classes are about 17 people online with one professor, and that's, you know, it's a good small tight class, and you get to know each other really well. So you pick a time that you favor the most. So I picked morning classes, and then all my classes, or most of my classes, would be in that time block. You've got studio courses and you've got liberal arts courses. And how the overall courses are structured is, for studio courses, which are your mostly art courses, right? So you get introduced to a topic, you talk about it for a week, you go home, you do like a supplementary exercise, roll it over in your head a bit, and then you get an assignment, and that's your assignment for that one. Have like about a week to finish it. You present to class, and some people give you feedback, and that's how most of the studio classes go. Another cool thing is that some professors, if they're cool, might bring an actual working artist to talk to your class. Our Thai professor brought in He, who is a performance artist, and his stuff was so cool. I asked him so many questions because I really wanted to learn about that. And then our sustainable systems professor brought in Koi, which is a fashion brand. And it's so cool because when I was applying to Parsons and I went to New York the summer before, we visited the exhibition that they had. I was so inspired by that collection. Anyways, it was cool to talk to the creator of that brand while I was at Parsons, so that was really cool. Here's my schedule for the 2 semesters. Pause the video if you want. So main course, Integrative Studio and Seminar 1. These are your bread and butter arts courses. You got your studio course, which is the art making. You got your seminar course, which is the English, writing, reading. Those go together. They bridge. That's what the projects are called. They're called bridge projects. You could take your art in so many ways in this course. It's really open, and you explore one main central theme. Our professors chose our theme to be memory for our year. I made some really cool projects in here. I made a video, my first video on this channel, and that's kind of how I got started. Next, we have time. Time is another studio course. Time is a very abstract course talking about the concept of time. It introduced video and audio, which were ways to capture the passing of time or the moment in time. Next, we had space and materiality. This was actually a really fun class, so sculpting so many different things and using so many different materials I never thought I'd use. Some people don't really like working in 3D, so it does test you in that regard. So that was my first semester, and then the liberal arts course that ran throughout that whole semester was Objects as History, which is art history, and such a boring course. My excitement with art history is only going to go so far. Boring but essential. That's my word. That's my sentence. Boring but essential. So for semester 2, I have integrative studio and seminar fashion. That's the focus. There were 2 others, so there's 3 in total, but I picked the fashion one, naturally. So that one, it was really cool. We had our art courses focused around fashion, so we were making 2 garments at the end of the year. It was a fun course. We made fashion stuff. You wrote about fashion. What else could you ask for? Next, we had drawing and imaging. This was one of my favorite courses. Our professor was so good. She taught us so many things about art and also about life and being a designer. And we checked her up on the Rate My Prof website. So that one really paid off. And then the liberal arts course was sustainable systems. This was a sick course, and it actually really introduced the idea, and we got to make studio projects as well while writing about sustainability, while making actual products that we could put out into the world and help people. For my first elective, I picked soft structures, which is a knitting and sewing introductions course. And then the second course I picked was games 101. And I picked this one as like a loose cannon course. I just wanted to learn about game theory, and that's what the description said, but I did learn how to code a bit. The New School and Parsons have so many secret resources that nobody ever tells you about. Over the year, I did some digging and found so many cool things that you can use to supplement your education. So some things were things like LinkedIn Learning, which was free, the Adobe Suite. They tell you about that, but a lot of kids don't really make the most use of it. There are the websites that you get to use to check internships and job opportunities. They send you so many things about joining calls and talking about how you could prepare yourself for the job world or whatever topic. They'll probably have a call about that, or a Zoom meeting or a Zoom session. And rarely anyone joins these, like 4 people max. There were these fashion clinics held every Wednesday with a professor. Pretty much you go up and you talk about anything fashion related, and she's a professor who works at the school, and she'll like have a conversation with you. And I'd go every week, so we kind of had our unofficial meeting time, and we talk about so many things, and she'd share so much information with me. And I could do all that because nobody else was joining up for those meetings. I also joined the Student Health Services group. That was a cool opportunity. There's about 20 people in there, and you really got to put yourself in a world with adults and make serious conversations about serious things that affect everyone else in the school. P.S. Parsons students watching this, the price of health insurance is going up next year. Sorry, I couldn't really. And 3 lessons I learned. Be professional. I know it sounds basic, I know everyone says this. Treat yourself as a professional young designer, because that's what we are. To get into the habit of treating yourself professionally, you start to focus on perfecting your work as best as you can in that moment. And it really shows when you see 2 kinds of people, one who treats himself like that and one who doesn't. Next, document your process. Parsons has this unofficial motto, Parsons loves process. If you document your process along whatever you do, you really get to see that progression of how you got from one idea to the top. And if you are applying for Parsons, that's what the whole Parsons Challenge is for, because they want to see how you could get from one idea to the final product. This is something I kind of did to get those grades when I felt lazy about my pieces. I presented them amazingly, and I became such a better presenter because I could just nail out what I wanted to say and then let the presentation carry the piece, and sometimes elevate it to better than what it actually is. And if you could do that, you could rely more on presenting and the artistry to really carry you to wherever you go. Finally, be active. Participate in your classes. If you really want to make friends, I found the best way to do this was to speak first. People are generally nice. So if you could speak first and you could initiate, it really carries off from there. And being active in your classes, in your relationships with your peers, with your professors, make the most of your time. You're paying an arm and a leg to be here. That's all for today. See you around. Peace.